Daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play option. Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
Good morning, fellas.
Good morning, Troy. Good morning, Matt. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody.
Happy Monday, yeah.
Hi. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day in Pacer Nation. We're all Pacers fans now.
The shirts will continue until the losing ends their season. Just letting everybody know.
I'll be getting my Haliburton jersey today, just to let everybody know.
Go ahead, Troy.
I like my basketball players like I like my vice president led energy companies. Haliburton.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
It's very confusing, some of the Google results when you when you type in.
Who was the guy in politics? Who was the head of Haliburton? Wasn't that Cheney?
Was Cheney.
Yes.
That's got some history there, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sure does.
Yeah. So big day in O land. Just got back from DC for a personal conference and awesome time. Got to friends of mine. One of my favorite things to do in DC, I've done it multiple times in my life, is I have friends that say they don't care about politics and don't want to visit anything. So I will lead them in various streets like Hansel and Gretel. And I say, we take a turn and we say, oh, look, here's the White House. I have to do that a lot. And so we're here back. And then we're, Dan is back in Chicago. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah. Flew back last night. Excited to hit American soil.
Yeah. The sweet land of liberty. How was the flight? How's the finish to America flight?
It is. I love Finnair coming there. In terms of food, maybe I'm crazy and I'm in my 60s, but flight or airplane food to me used to be, maybe because I was a kid, I didn't know any better, used to be okay. I mean, what they bring you as food, right? Especially Finnair, and puts it on there. I'm like, did you purposely take out all the taste in the food?
I thought you were going the other direction.
Oh, no.
With that, Dan.
Did you purposely try to see, we're going to try to make this as bland as we possibly can? So we loaded up on, nuts and cashews from the airport, but it was
salt
nice.
Packets.
Yeah. It's just amazing on a 9-hour straight flight. It's amazing how sore your rump can be, isn't it?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
I mean, after a while, I just gave up, and I'm watching, there's a couple guys next to me that were a little heavier. And I mean, this guy was he moved his rear end. He was almost sitting on the little rail there. He's like trying to get comfortable, and there's just no way, right? And but it was nice. O'Hare is just. I'm so thankful for small airports like Greenville or Knoxville to go into, because Chicago is just like, you just feel like you're a cow and 10,000 cows coming into the chute.
It's a terrible airport.
I mean, even coming, you get off the plane and then and then you go into immigration, and that takes a while, and it's just like, am I ever going to get out of this stinking place?
Capital of the Midwest, though, Dan. It's heartland. I vote we need to move it. Move the capital.
I'm with you. Troy, I had a quick question. Did you go to Arlington?
Didn't have time to go to Arlington. So the big ones were the big national monuments. We went to the White House. Nice. And then, of course, drove past the Pentagon. Pentagon, side note, for a little history, people, Pentagon's one of the largest buildings in the world.
I did not know that.
And you think about it, you don't see it. But anyway, so went there, and then we went to Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen restaurant.
Oh, nice. Neat. How was it? Did you like?
If you enjoy good food for a lot of money, that is your place.
As opposed to good food for a little bit of money.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Or bad food for a lot of money.
Bad food for a lot of money. There's a lot of options. But speaking of options, so Dan's back in Chicago. Matt is in Indianapolis, and I will be flying to the options industry conference. So we'll be doing some OO shows this week from the option industry conference, hopefully live from my beach hotel, as is my custom when I go to the beach. So
now you're in Palm Springs, right?
Palm Beach, I think.
Is that where Trump is?
Yeah, we're 20. To my wife's dismay, I showed her a map how long it'll take me to get from the hotel to Mar-a-Lago.
How long?
20 minutes.
When's the show?
Well, I'm working on it. I told her, what's funny about my wife, this is a side note, we should get into it. What's funny about my wife, who I love very much, is very sweet. I told her last night, the thing is, I have to get there by Monday. I have to get to the hotel because Mar-a-Lago, they said you have to be there at 8:30 or else they will not let you in.
Okay.
And she believed me, Dan. She said, so
she believed me.
Anyway, listen, let's talk about markets a little bit, and we'll go from there. So let me share my screen.
I haven't even looked this morning. I'm going in blind on purpose.
Well, here you go, fella. We're down 44.
Okay.
And
half of Monday's run up, right? It's
that's right.
Half back rule.
That's right. Now listen,
about right.
It is when you have I was traveling, so I didn't get to, but it's just one of those things, and we've talked about this before. A Friday afternoon, I should have sold them with all my heart, because you know that the biggest run up in 20 years, biggest amount of up days in 20 years, just the math starts playing out a little bit. I'm not saying you load the boat, but you say like they were going to take profit at some point.
Absolutely.
And
it's worth a cheap. I mean, do you have to load the boat? No, but it's a cheap shot. When you look at it, I mean, even perspective, since April 21st, so we're not talking a month, we're talking 2 weeks, right? SPX is up 550 points, and VIX has gone from 34 to 22. So it's like, you're right. Is it the 7th inning? Is it the 8th inning of a ball game? Is it 9th inning and 2 out? You're up past the 7th inning as of Friday's close. So the other thing I was thinking about, obviously FOMC is the big catalyst this Wednesday.
Yeah.
Call me crazy. The only thing, when I'm thinking of, to me, maybe uneventful, are they going to do anything crazy with rates? But you can't tell me, I mean, there's got to be some friction between President Trump and Powell. And I can't see Powell in the press conference saying anything really positive. Can you?
No, but he's also, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think he's going to say anything positive.
Oh, you think he'll just leave it alone?
No, I think he's going to try to leave it alone. I think they're going to press him as they do at the FOMC. But I think what he's going to say, which he's been consistent, is tariffs are temporarily inflationary, and we don't have the data to know what it will do in the long term. And so we're going to stay resonant until more data comes in. We're going to be data dependent.
Yeah, that sounds like a good thing from. Hey, real quick, do you ever hear? Historically, they say sell. Isn't it May where they say sell May, go away? Or
sell in May, go away.
Yeah.
Have you guys done much research on the whole May thing at all, or anything like?
I'm glad you asked that, because welcome to OO show thesis for the week. Starting tomorrow, live from OIC. Selling in May and going away. How has that worked? That's what we're going to look at this week.
I think that's a good idea. The other thing I was reading over the weekend, I'm not a big technical guy, but I was reading, they were saying on the upside, we did a 61.8 retracement, which is like a big thing. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds like we made this big retracement. Are you guys familiar? maybe can you explain that or a little bit? We hit it. Do you know much about that? We hit a 61.8 retracement in the Fib.
No.
Good.
I don't know. That's not my thing. That's
mine neither, but
yeah.
But anyways,
but I will say this. I do think there's as much validity to that as there is to any technical thing, and it's not because it is true. It's because a lot of traders use it.
Right.
And so therefore it's true. I mean, it's self-inflection, but
it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But listen, guys, I was fully expected to just go into this week with a new subject. I listened to the show Friday. And I know this wasn't your guys' favorite way to trade.
Matt, here it comes. Here it comes.
So today we're going to look at some tests that are ridiculous. And these really might be the most ridiculous tests we ever show on the Option Omega show. I'm just going to put it out there. And so we're going to look at it because there's some stuff that you can do with these credit butterflies that's very simple that takes it to Mars. So anyway, let's do that. You care if I do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm going to show you
Mars.
I'm going to show you 3 tests this morning, more than what we normally do.
Wow.
But we're finishing up this subject for right now, so I thought we'd do it. Test 1. Okay. So this is a 0 DTE credit call butterfly. So you're collecting a credit, but it's a 0 DTE one. You are selling or you're buying a 10 delta at 9:32 in the morning, 0 day. You're selling 10 points above that, and you're buying 50 points past that long call. It's a broken wing, same structures we've looked at last week. This is a 0 day. And there's one filter that we're looking at today that does some crazy stuff. And what that is the RSI has to at least be 45.
Got to not be too dumpy. Not really dumpy at all.
Well, Matt, press into that. What does that mean? What does
that's just how the lower the RSI, the dumpier the market is. That's how I think about it.
Yeah. So
50.
So what's the significant? I mean, Matt, I don't know much about the RSI. What's 50? Tell us a little bit about the whole 50.
I mean, a lot of times people will use 30 and 60 as kind of extremes on both ends. So 45 is closer to the middle, but not too dumpy. Again, there's people that make their whole careers about interpolating RSI. So I just keep broad strokes. Yeah.
And 45, what that is basically saying the market has been trending up.
Yeah.
And we're in a calm state. That's basically what that means.
That's what it means. Okay.
Or I say my technical indicator, not too dumpy. That's my technical explanation.
But either one.
So you're getting, would you say range bound, or we've been going more up, now we've paused, or how would you?
I don't know, but my theory would be it could be both. It could be a situation like we've had the last couple of weeks where it's just a slow rise in relative strength, or it could be just a calm market, probably with relative strength.
Gotcha.
But pretty simple test. But it does really, really well. And I was a little shocked, honestly. And the other thing, we talked about this last week, it has to be for a credit.
Yeah. And you're getting,
it has to be a credit.
50 cents, $1. What's the trade log look like on this bad boy?
Yeah. Perfect. So you're collecting,
pretty good
because it's a 10 delta right in the morning. You're getting a little bit more than you think you would for it. So you're getting that. Now, again, don't ever full port anything. And that actually leads me to my next subject. Let's look at the next test. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Here we go. This is a 0 DTE call credit butterfly.
Oh,
the old unbalanced and broken wing with a nearly 200% capture rate. Wow.
You'll notice the 475 MAR.
Woo! Troy, you're picking some really, these are like knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, this is crazy. And so this structure is different. It's a 132. Same strikes as the one before, but it's a 132. Same RSI, collect the premium. Okay. From basic SPX dailies to this week.
Yeah. So why is this Mar so insane? Can we talk about that for a second?
I've never seen anything like that, Mar.
This is why.
That's big winners right at the end.
Well, big winners right at the end, but
Drawdown.
also your credit you're receiving on
Yeah.
average is higher because of that 1-3-2 structure.
It gets pretty, yeah. So the structure of this is the other way to think about this is you're buying a debit spread closer to the money and selling 2 credit spreads farther out of the money, netting out a credit and still with the chance of a Yahtzee.
That's exactly right.
But you're not exactly, would it be fair to say, two comments. One, versus your test from last week, these are lower margin trades because your upper strike call is closer in. Would that be right, Troy? You're not.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have margin on
I
here.
think
right
your
now.
first one was like 50, 60. So you're not, the width of your upper vertical isn't like a lot more than the lower one, right?
That's right. I mean, margin is always relative to brokerage, but I can tell you this is about a $5,000 margin requirement per spread.
Yeah. Okay.
And so you'd say, well, that's a terrible return. Well, I'll to talk my book a little bit. I've seen some people using use 0-day credit spreads in a worse way.
Yeah.
This is all perspective. I mean, people look at things like, would you rather have high probability or lower risk reward, or better risk reward? Higher probability, better risk reward. And to me, it's just a trade-off, right? You can't have high probability generally, at least I don't see it, and a great risk reward, right? You have to give up, but the high probability, like you have here, 100, doesn't make it's a bad trade. It's really how you manage it, right? You have a high probability. So if you're getting, even if it was 5 or 6% or 4% on your margin, if you're getting that and you have a decent risk management plan, there's nothing wrong with that. I think people get caught up in this. You can have a great risk reward trade, but if you don't have the right rails on it, what good is it, right?
No, that's exactly right. And that's a great segue, Dan, because these tests, I'm just being honest, this is my favorite way to go long, is these type of trades, because you want to collect credit on the side. Yeah. But here's where, because we try to be risk managers, we don't want to just be dummies about it. Yeah. Never go 100% portfolio. And I'll tell you why. Let's look at another trade. So this is that same trade traded from COVID till 2022. Okay.
Not so sexy of a Mar.
And I want to show you why, basically. And I can show you in 2 trades. Let me go down to losers here, filter it. And you'll notice in March of 2021, you had $100,000 loss.
Bad day.
Bad day. And September 1st, that's right, September 1st, 2020, you had a terrible loss.
Yeah, another bad day. And that was 6 months after COVID. That was just during the rest of the year.
Yeah. That's right. So you should immediately think to yourself, I don't want to go full port. When you see something like that, you should immediately think, the first thing I should do is not trade as much size. But is there something we can do that takes this great trade and makes it safer?
I for sure think so, because you've got a world-class backtester, Troy. So can I just highlight what a great point you just made, which is
always.
All right. Here's the point. If you're new to this whole mechanical trading, backtesting, automating world that is growing, in backtest, you can have a lot of nuance. And the Mar, the CAGR, the drawdown is contingent on how much you size the trade, how in the backtest. And so why would you size something at 100% portfolio? And here's the answer. you show the full weight of the drawdown at a full port. You can really understand the weight of the drawdown. If you always backtest at the same size that you trade at, you have a good chance of having the biggest drawdown ever in your live trading. And that is tough for people's emotions. Despite automation, even when you're automating a trade, it doesn't feel great to pull up an end-of-day report and see a loser that you've never seen before in the backtest. So that is what there's 100%. We can talk about this concept of drawdowns when you're growing an account. There's some good stuff out there on it, but that is why you size at 100%, because you can feel the weight of the drawdown. So can you pull up that other one you just pulled up? The only the one from February 2020, the only difference between these back tests in the setup is the time frame. Obviously, your result is very much different. Again, nobody does this at 100% live. This is not financial advice, but nobody that I've ever heard does this kind of trading at 100%. But when you back test it, you can see those huge skyline. That looks like a skyline, right? That's like the side of a building. That's how big the down is. You go up gradually, and then the expression stairs up, jump off the mine shaft down. Common expression in the option world. Looks like you fell into a mine shaft. That's what your trade log looks like.
Hey, Matt, would that really help? Like when you think of beginners and you want beginners to really understand the trade, for beginners, would that be whenever they're doing a back test, at least take a shot at putting it 100% just to make it clear that they're.
So yeah, here's the great thing. This is a world-class back tester that you can iterate on in seconds. Try it out at a bunch of different allocations. That's what a lot of people do. So people often back test at a bigger allocation than they trade at for that rule. They want to see what more potential downside is than they have on their live account. Even with automation and trying to remove the emotions, that's a very common thing. So my thought on that is that because you have a world-class back tester, you can run a 5-year back test in a minute or two. So run them at a couple different variations in the allocation size, get a big enough data sample, go back as far as you can, and see what there is to see as far as what different allocations do. What Troy did on this one, I think, is he still did the allocation, but he contract capped it. So what that's going to do is that is going to cap your drawdown and your CAGR. It's going to artificially cap both of them. Like it's in the name. What does a contract cap do? A maximum number of contracts. It caps your contracts. What is that going to do? Is going to cap your results both directions. So that type of back test has uses. It also has limitations. And what we try to explain to people is, listen, there's a lot of tools in this tester. They're all there for a reason. Don't click them and start using them unless you understand why you're doing it. And that's why we have so many resources to help people understand how to build a better back test.
And Matt, when you say, most of Troy, all of these tests, correct me if I'm wrong, Troy, they were all like minimum, like 85% winners, right?
Yeah. It's a high probability trade.
Yeah. So when you get high probability, then you go back like Troy did, you start putting some rails because, hey, there's something very positive about a high probability. Now, high probability could mean if it's high probability and it's related with, okay, you can make maybe smaller, but you could lose a lot. Then
Higher drawdown.
Doesn't make it bad though. It just means you have to park on, okay,
that's right.
Here's some rails, or like Troy did with the contract. What did you call that, Matt? Contract max amount of contracts.
Yeah, I called it a contract cap, but it's just max number of contracts per trade is 1. So you're only going to ever put 1 on it. And there are people that back test this way and that trade with contract caps. But again, when you're back testing, and I have I have automated trades on that. I have contract capped in the automation to where if a trade is unreasonably cheap or whatever, it's still going to have a max limit or something. But the idea behind back testing is when you do that, you just have to understand why to click the button, why to select the field. So
and to that point, this is testing with one contract, right? So it gives you, that's how I usually do it, honestly, with most things. I'll go 100%, I'll look at that, and then I'll cap it to one contract and say, well, if I just did one contract, what it would look like. And then you go from there. Can I show you one more test?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
Troy, you brought out some bangers today.
He did. He came.
I honestly have some even more ideas about this, because have we even talked about all the various risk management?
No.
I mean, Troy, how many weeks can we talk about risk management on these?
Oh, well, it's save some room for heaven.
That's right. Amen.
Listen. So this, to the point, at 100% full port, which you should never do, that one had a bad year, right, in 2020. And so now let's take that same structure, but add some guardrails to it.
That's right.
And that's what this is. So here's your guardrails. You're going to scale out of this as your profit goes up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is I'll say this, like, I'm not saying automate this. I'm not saying do anything, because I don't provide financial advice. But this gets close in my mind as a trader to that like coveted idea of saying a high probability trade with not a big drawdown.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what you're kind of always trying to find, that perfect balance.
Mhm.
A trade that, it's only a couple trades, point to the point. I mean, you have to pay attention to that. But I'll put it this way. I would put more guardrails on this, but to the point, this is what you do. At 250% profit, you're going to close a quarter of the trade. At 500% profit, you're going to close a quarter of the trade. At 750% profit, you're going to close a quarter of the trade. And at 1,000% profit, you're going to close a quarter of the trade. That removes a huge amount of the drawdown. And thus your MAR is so insane. You're winning 95% of the time. And sometimes when you win, you're winning a lot. And that is, so we've applied a guardrail. Now let's go back and look. Well, how would have those Kelly thanks Stephen for Kelly Optimal Betting. It's a great Fortune's Formula. Great book. We've mentioned it. Talks about Kelly allocation.
Shout out to the chat.
That's right. Yeah. Let's look what would happen if we put those guardrails and we run this same test now, the one that had the 80% drawdown, and we run it for 5 years. And this is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
A 19% drawdown. So you've greatly reduced the drawdown.
Again, full porting it to show the drawdown.
Yes.
Like
yes.
Yeah.
So
what changes did you make on this one, Troy? Just now.
This is that same test as here, but it's run since COVID. So this is ran from 2022 SPX dailies.
I got you.
And this one is run from basically COVID till yesterday.
Okay. Impressive. Yeah.
And so, listen, I'm not saying we found the solution. I'm not saying that there's never a finding of it. That's the joy of it. But in a world of zero TTE where people are always like, it is the future. It just continues to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
I was honestly a little shocked at how good this test is when I did it.
Yeah.
Because I like tests that I have not over filtered this. I have not like curve fit it. This is a simple, like RSI min 45 is a simple filter. There's nothing complicated about that. And again, you don't, the main reason that's the filter is you're only doing it if you can collect a credit.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the point of it. And so, guys, final thoughts about broken wing butterflies. I will say this. I forward tested sometimes what I'm talking about on here. I did this last week and I will say it worked out really well. Now, 1 week data point you don't trust, but anytime you can do something in real life and it's matching the back test, I mean, it feels good. It feels good.
I like I mean, again, since COVID, for the most part, again, we've been mostly up, right? Some brief seasons of going down, and really these are out of the money, a little more bullish at bullish, broken wingers, right? And but I think it gives you a different feel. It's not like, is it legal in 3 states to do anything but a 0-day iron condor? Yes. These are very good. In other words, what Matt was kind of saying, there's a lot of variety. I mean, there's endless varieties of what you can do, right? With the 0-day. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the iron condor and different trades like that, but these, in a mostly up market since 2020, these out of the money call diagonals, the way Troy designed them here, they're wonderful. They're very high probability. And it just, again, as you always say, to me, we are not option traders. We are risk managers. There's a big difference.
That's right.
You can teach the cook at Chipotle in an hour and a half how to put a trade on. You're not going to teach the cook at Chipotle in an hour and a half how to manage, how to put guardrails on. And that's I think if you're always focusing on that, and that's why I think it's endless in here what the Options Omega tool can do in the area of rails. That's why I like, as a risk manager, I like it. It's much more, there's much more meat to the Omega risk management ideas than even, you take something on steroids like, people, think or swim, that type of it, and some of the order entries you can put. But all these guardrails get me excited as a risk manager.
Well, and I'll say this. So I like to try to at least, we're not selling a strategy. We're selling a tool. So be honest about that. Okay. So when you're selling a tool, I like that because basically you get to be a little bit more honest about risks than a strategy. And so I'll say this with strategy, as someone who loves this strategy, it's one of my favorite strategies. I'll tell you my personal thoughts about a strategy like this. You're getting some flack in the chat for about how you pronounce Chipotle.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. That's fine. That's a shit. Listen,
the most important content.
Chicago guys can talk about whatever they want to talk about and the accent that they talk about.
Tell a Chicago guy mispronounces something.
No, it's fine. I like it. So I'll tell you the things that scare the crap out of me about this is at any given day, at any given time. Now, I think the fuel's running out a little bit of the rocket ship, but at any given time, Xi Jinping and Trump could kill, could give a text from space talking about them and Musk. They could do something crazy where it's like we go up 600 points in a day. That can happen still in this presidency. So that you have to take that in consideration. That alone is a reason never to full port something.
Yes,
that's right.
2, you want to find the data, and we've given you the test. You want to find the data that beats this thing up as much as possible, because the more you beat this up, the more confidence you can have if you still like it at the end. To that point, Matt, you have beat this up. Do you want to share your screen?
I will actually just link the test. If you've watched any superhero movies or shows, in the last couple years, there's this thing called the hallway fight. So this test, Troy, is the down the hallway with the Punisher version. And it is a heavily punished version of this. And I just did it for 2 years. We can run it back longer. So you should run it back longer. Let me post it real quick and see if you guys can see this in chat. But this is down the hallway with the Punisher version. Okay. So in these fights, you have all these bad guys. And because we're in a world where superheroes can fly, shoot iron beams out of their chest, they can turn people to shadows. those type of movies where superheroes are super powerful, of course, have a hallway fight where people are punching and kicking. Because when you have a superhero that can jump through the side of a building, naturally you want a hallway scene where people are punching and kicking and doing judo on each other. So that's what this is. I got rid of the VIX just to see what it would do. You can add it back. It's fine. And added this standard, and this is punished. I mean, I got 35 cents exit slippage on here, 10 cents entry, 2 hit. This is still, it's still worth playing around with. So Troy, this has been a great show, and what an inspiring back test. So I just want to give you a shout out because I think this is super fun. I think there's even more we could do with it from a risk management standpoint. And, you know, not to spoil any ideas because we haven't talked about this, but, you know, there's this advanced idea that maybe something like this in conjunction with an orb in a portfolio might be an interesting, thing. So shout out to the chat, active chat today. Thanks, guys.
Matt, do you think you could, I mean, Troy gets the MVP award. Don't you think he should, you know, with LeBron out?
He's the Haliburton of this
do you
show.
Think he should send Troy some Haliburton swag just for his?
He needs it.
Yeah.
The floor general who not only orchestrates things, he has Magic Johnson levels of assist to turnover ratios, historic John Stockton level assist to turnover ratios. Steph could only blush at, just like the Mar in some of these back tests.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and end on this because
on that note,
on this note is we will keep going. We're going to look at sell in May, go away. I'm sure that I'm sure that this might come up again and sell in May. We'll see what happens. But, you know, final note to the point of it is John Stockton, the idea of how good him and Carl is largely a pro-Jordan narrative that's been pushed through the years. And my argument is that was one of the weakest teams.
Those assists have to be devalued. That was just, listen, Haliburton's better.
He's fine. The Jazz were a great team in what I will largely argue mediocre 90s basketball.
Hottest takes.
Yeah. Anyway,
as an old guy, I'll have to.
I know. I'll let you have your point. But listen, we can all agree. Let's see here. We'll see you at OIC tomorrow in a beautiful Mar-a-Lago, around that area. And then Pacers suck. Is there anything else I need to? I don't know. Anyway, all right, guys. Listen, have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Thanks.